Hi, it's Aaron here, and I'm just going to run you through a quick video which explains pricing, because this is always the subject that people always want to talk about, and it's difficult, but it's impossible actually, to say what pricing would be without coming out to do a survey. But spoiler alert, unless you live in a very large house, most rooms these days they fall in between 8 and 9,000 for 90% of bathrooms. Um, Sometimes they're a bit under, sometimes a bit over, but that's where the vast majority fall. But if you go to the blog section of our website, it's bathroominstallationservices.co.uk, and we've got blogs on here. One of them is called How Much Will My Bathroom Cost? So I'll just run you through this blog, and obviously you can read it, but the video might be more helpful. So it'll depend on the three things as described: specification of your products and tiles, the size of your room, and how much prep work is required. Now these are the three things, because you can pick a tile that can send the cost way up. And the specification of your product, you can go from a £200 vanity unit to a £1,500 vanity unit. So it just does depend on what you're going to pick, which is why it's impossible to say without seeing it and doing a full design to get you to the end price. But if you're going for if you've got a medium-sized bathroom and you're going for a mid-range spec, I would be budgeting between £89,000, unless there's things that you're going to add in that may drive the cost up, which we'll talk about in a moment. So things that drive the cost up are, if you go for an inset shower valve, if you go for an inset shower valve that's built into the wall with the head and all the bits and whistles on it, this obviously going to cost more money. So the taste of what you want, if you want like an exposed shower bar where the valve is on the outside of the wall and you've got the riser rail that goes up, that's obviously a cheaper piece of kit. So the inset shower valve is more to plumb, it's more to buy, it's just more expensive by a few £100s. So obviously then you've got wet rooms, a normal white tray as opposed to maybe like a tiled on tray. There's a vast cost difference there in labour and materials of probably £700-800. So when you start adding in these elements of, I want an inset shower valve, I want a shower tray, your £8 to £9 budget starts to creep in, 10 and upwards, because you're adding things in that are going to take more time and cost more to buy. So the complexity of it is just going higher. So the other thing is as well, so if you're going to go, so we've done specification, products and tiles, I think I've explained that well enough there. You get the idea. Size of the room. So again, if you've got a 2 meters by 2 meters bathroom, roughly 18 square meters of tiles on the wall, that's going to sort of sit within the price range I've said. If your bathroom is 2.5-3 meters, and we're getting into bigger rooms, that is going to go up. Obviously, there's more area to cover, there's more to do, there's more to rip out. It's just this cost. You need a bigger skip, you need this, everything just starts to cost more money. Now, if you live in an older period property and the plaster's all shot and there's a lot, there's a lot of old stuff to take out, that again is adding a lot in. Period properties are generally a lot more expensive to do jobs in, because you're usually taking out stuff that's old and the prep work is going to take a lot longer. In a modern property, the prep work is usually minimal, because there's only plasterboards to come off and just basic stuff. If you go into like an old period property and you've got the old Latin plaster walls and ceilings and stuff, you can be into 2 or 3 days of just decommissioning before you even start the prep. So you can see where the cost goes. So we've categorized these. So I hope that's helpful. So you got so size of the room, how much prep work and additional peripheral work is required. Obviously, electrical bits. Just other things you want doing. Because a lot of it usually isn't even the bathroom that costs the money. It's the prep work, the building work, extra plastering. Electrical work. There's all sorts of stuff that you'll start adding in that then just sends the cost up. So. And the more people we have to bring in, the more obviously complex it gets, longer it takes, all the rest of it. So cloak rooms, price range is generally on the ground floor, usually for dual purpose. It's usually more of a functional room than it needs to look amazing. But they're normally landing between 1,500 and 5K. 5K being, the bigger end of it with a higher end spec because it is such a small room. Generally a cloakroom 3 to 4K. If you want to half tile it, maybe put a bit of a nice toilet and vanity unit in, 3 to 4K usually kills that off. So small to medium bathrooms and ensuite. So I've sort of put my own definitions to this in terms of, through my own experience over the last 10 years, surveying hundreds and probably thousands of bathrooms. So these would normally be between 1.4 to 2 meters wide and 1.7 to 2.5 meters long, with a maximum perimeter of about 9 meters around the room. Now, I've put some examples here so you can see what you would get for that sort of money in each sort of bracket. So all these rooms are within those measurements, and then you're looking at, your more traditional looking stuff. Traditional items are always more expensive. So, a bathroom like this will go for £9,000 to £11,000. True, at the time that I wrote this, maybe a bit more now. Since COVID, the prices have gone up. So I'd probably put that now at about 10 to 12. Then you've got a bit more of a lower key, lower end, basic room. But again, if it needs quite a bit of prep, £7,500 to £9,000 for a room like that is not, that's about right. So example 3, this is what you're going to find in most sort of 3-bed houses. This is your general spec. And, these are, £7,000 to £8,000. Usually now with the price increases, you're looking between 8 and 9 really. So this blog will be updated actually looking at this. But, since COVID, the prices have gone up. So this will probably move up by £1,000. So again, the smaller ensuite with a basic tile, no vanity units, basic spec, we're penning that around 6,000 to 7,500. Again, I'd add about £1,000 on now, as discussed. Then you're into your large bathrooms and ensuites, which really range anywhere between £11,000 and £20,000 because, how big is it? Again, until we've been in and had a look, we don't know. But, that if you've got a really big room, anywhere between those two brackets would usually see it off. It just depends how much you want to spend, and the spec would need to, reflect the reality of that budget. So on here again, we've got some more images. That's actually an image from the room above as well, because it does fall into that same category. Here we've got, say this is a very large room that we did, and that's the images of it finished. And I think that came in, where was that one? That came in, yes, about 16K, which is about right. So if you want this sort of, this is bells and whistles, this is good. And, 16K, 17K is where I'd pen that room at the moment, something like that. This was a period property, full rip out, and, the whole shebang really. And customer supplied some of their own bits as well for this. So that would probably add, whatever they spent, £500 more on a few bits that they supplied. It was like a unit and a mirror. So yeah, then we're into the much bigger end of the scale, where we've got, a much bigger room, floor space, obviously lots of tiling to do, wet room, freestanding bath, the whole lot. This was knock a wall down as well and rejig a lot of pipe work. There was a lot of stuff to do in this room. And I think this one came in at about 19 to 20. Yeah, so it's about 19 to 20,000, this one. So I hope that explains it. Say if you're living in a normal, realistically under £8,000 for a full, if you need to rip it all out and you want to fully tile, you need to be looking between £8,000 and £9,000 these days. Even since this blog was wrote, the prices have increased. So, just bear that in mind. If you go and check this blog, it probably would have been updated. So just add £1,000 roughly to each bracket on here, and I hope that makes sense. Give us a shout if you need anything. You know where we are. We'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.